Listener discretion is advised.
Okay. You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
You darn tootin' we do.
Oh, sure.
And I'm Kenyon, and I have had technical difficulties for the last hour.
Indeed.
Yeah, 50 minutes.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm Lucy, and I've been patiently waiting.
I did FaceTime Lucy while she was on the toilet.
Oh, classic. I'm
Patiently
Amanda.
waiting.
And that's all I can say
Not
about that.
patiently waiting.
Not as patiently waiting.
I've never been patient a day in my life.
True.
Ever.
That's
All
very
right.
true.
We're going to get right to it. So this week we have a very special fan pick brought to you by Olivia Ramirez, who wants to dedicate their episode to her grad school BFF, Charlie Rhea.
Cute.
Oh,
So cute.
That is cute.
Love that for them both, Olivia and Charlie. And Olivia has selected the topic that is very close, near and dear to my heart for my 5th or 6th hometown, which is Kentucky crime.
You do live there now, so it's a
live here now.
hometown.
Yeah. And
you've
so,
had a lot of hometowns, and I have yet to do. We haven't done Iowa crimes. Just
I
saying.
know. That's
I
actually a
know.
travesty.
We need to do that. Let's
There
get it
are
on the
a lot.
box.
Jody, who's and Trout.
Who's and Trout?
You'll find out when we do Iowa crimes. Jody, who's and Trout.
Okay, Jody, who's and Trout.
Which is definitely a real name and not
Yep.
made up.
Definitely real.
She's a news anchor.
Okay.
We're not doing Iowa crimes.
She's
Step
dead.
off.
Okay.
We're doing
Sorry.
Kentucky crimes. And I bought this little baby at the flea market yesterday for the very purpose. For those of you watching the video,
Greased
What does the top
too.
say?
it says it's time to chase the greased, and then there's an image of a pig, and then
Love
it
a
has
greased pig.
It has dates, and then it says Kentucky State Fair. Everybody's state fair.
Wow.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that
That's
awesome?
good.
And
That's
then on
very
the back,
good.
they're like all the, different acts and things that you can find at the Kentucky State Fair.
Cute.
Yeah. Isn't that so great?
That's
I
so
love
cute.
it.
You got to get one of those glass frames that's like backless.
Yeah.
So you can
Yeah.
flip it.
So it can
Have
flip
it either
her.
way.
Yeah, give her a flip.
I know.
Depending
I love
on your
it.
mood.
I love it very much. So Kentucky's I never ever thought about it even once in my entire life before Zach got the job offer here.
I
But
thought about it so
there's
little.
not going
I
on.
live here now.
Yeah. Kentucky fucks. It's pretty great. So anyway, that's what's going on. Thank you,
It's
my
Olivia,
case.
for choosing
Bluegrass
this.
State.
My case is the fan pick case, so it is horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just fucking awful.
Mine's pretty fun
Great.
and lighthearted.
Thank
we evened
God.
out.
Good.
Normally I would hand it off to Amanda for a wine crime pairing, but we
We're
thought
switching it
that
up.
we would do some Kentucky-ness and do a bourbon pairing.
Pairing.
Blah, blah, blah.
Pairing. I've been getting after it during our technical difficulties. So I have paired this episode with my version of a Manhattan / an old fashioned.
Yum.
It has
Ooh.
both vermouth and Cointreau
Wow.
bourbon.
Fans.
and Luxardo cherries and Peychaud's bitters and melted ice because I've been
That's-
drinking it for an hour.
That's a lot of
Dangle.
things.
It's
I
delicious.
like that.
Many ingredients.
And the
So-
bourbon that I used is Old Forester Kentucky Straight Rye Whiskey. They also have a non-rye,
Yum.
or probably a lot. And I know nothing about it because I don't know that much about bourbon.
My
love
first
it.
experience with bourbon was at Kenyon's house.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, bourbon and soda water. And it was so fucking refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
I think we made you a mint julep, which is bourbon and mint and something.
I've never had a mint julep, so will you make me one when I come?
Of course.
I think we just had bourbon and soda, but either way, it was delish. It was
never
perfect
had-
for midnight yard games.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a lot of success with brown liquor, so I want you to show me the way.
I love a bourbon cocktail, and there are a lot of them. I don't really drink it straight. There are like a couple that I found that I like straight, but I love a bourbon cocktail.
I'm drinking Diet Coke because this was yard sale weekend, and I also have my period, so I'm gonna be tired forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
What
look
are you-
good.
Do
You
I?
look good. I've got an absolute
old
vodka
thing.
soda with grapefruit and rosemary.
Oh my god, all of your
my
drinks sound so
faves.
fucking good.
That sounds good.
It's good.
Yum.
All right. Well, we are just living our best lives right now.
Some of us.
Get with it.
Get on our level.
And Lucy, what is our background and probably not psych for Kentucky crimes?
You know, I wrote these notes so fucking long ago that I don't remember what's in them.
Ooh,
So-
shake your bones.
Here we go. Oh, yep. Here we go.
I have a feeling. There's no say.
There's probably no psych.
You should bring those with you to the live show.
I'm gonna.
Good.
Yeah.
Because there will be no psych.
Yeah, which reminder, if you haven't gotten your ticket to our virtual live stream, head to winingcrimepodcast.com right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Virtual
Does it
now.
air
live
before
stream.
then?
I
Huh?
think so.
Does this
Yeah.
air before our live
This
show?
is next week's episode.
Oh, shit.
Virtual live stream October 1st. It's going to be spooktacular. We have costumes. It's going to be
Oh,
a fun
excited.
Friday night in with the
Y'all
gals.
are gonna fucking freak out over our costumes.
It's
They're
very
so
Halloween-y.
good.
It's going to be really fun. So get yo ticks.
Okay, so Kentucky, officially the Commonwealth of Kentucky, is a state in the southeastern region of the United States bordered by a whopping 7 other states,
Whoa.
which are Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio to the north, West Virginia and regular Virginia to the east, Tennessee to the south, and Missouri to the west.
West Virginia and Mountain Mama to the east.
Mountain
Cumberland Gap to the south. And
Cumberland
east.
Gap.
West Virginia and, Mountain Mama, to the east.
Take me home.
Country roads
Country
to the
road.
south.
Everyone is given a wagon wheel upon entry into the Commonwealth.
Wait,
Oh,
is that true?
yes.
Amanda.
You had me. I was sold.
I will get you a wagon wheel for when you come visit. And
You give me a
wagon wheel
tiny
coffee
fidget
table.
spinner, wagon wheel, wagon wheel. I'm exhausted.
I know, we can tell it's okay. Kentucky was admitted into the Union as the 15th state on June 1st, 1792, splitting from Virginia in the process. So it used to be like part of Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia used to be huge, and it contained West Virginia and what is now Kentucky. And Kentucky is like, I mean, the 15th state, there were 13 original colonies, so it is one of the early ones.
It's old.
She's old.
She old.
She is known as the Bluegrass State, a nickname based on Kentucky bluegrass, a species of grass found in many of its pastures,
Oh.
which has supported the thoroughbred horse industry in the center of the state. So
Ah,
bluegrass
hence the
equals
Derby.
fast horses, I guess.
There's
Okay.
something about like the mineral content in the soil in that part of Kentucky that leads to like the nutrients in the bluegrass being very good for animals,
ponies.
especially horses.
That
Wow.
said, Kentucky bluegrass, aka Poa potensis, is not actually native to North America. It was brought over by colonists from the Spanish Empire.
Interesting.
Palm trees are also not native to North America.
pigeons are also not native to North America.
Well, who did that? Because rude.
I can tell you who did that, and you'd know this if you listen to the latest Spooky Little Bitch episode, which actually isn't out yet as this episode airs.
So
here's a
maybe
little
don't
sneak
yell at me
peek.
about it. Jesus. I was
But
like,
they were brought
I
over.
always listen to these. Did I miss something?
If you'd listen to what was in my brain.
If you'd listened to what I recorded yesterday and sent straight to our editor, John, you would know.
and have not yet posted.
They were
you
brought
would know.
over. They were brought over for a Shakespeare festival in New York, like in the year 1800 or whatever. They're
Leaving
native
the
to the UK,
thespians to ruin
England.
everything.
Yeah, fucking Shakespeare ruined everything. And I say
Some-
this as an English major. I do not like Shakespeare. He is overrated. Don't like him at all. There, I said it.
Hot take.
And pigeons.
It's not that hot of
Hi.
a take. A lot of people
not
don't
that
like
hot.
Shakespeare.
It's
Okay.
boring. I find it very boring. Okay.
Illegible
you know we love-
nonsense.
You know we love to scutinize flags. / I love to
Yes.
scrutinize flags.
Yeah.
And Kentucky,
How much blood is on this flag?
I don't remember because once again, I wrote this like a month ago.
Yeah.
Kentucky has another weird fucking flag. So this is from a Mental Floss article. Contrary to popular belief, Kentucky's state flag does not depict local heavyweights Daniel Boone and Henry Clay embracing.
Okay.
There's a
Is there
photo,
a photo
of the,
of- okay, I
there's
was
a
like-
photo of the flag on the drive, which will be on the blog. Rather, the two men are supposedly representative of any old statesman and frontiersman. So just like a generic statesman and a generic frontiersman.
Okay.
But
Okay.
super looks like Henry Clay and Daniel Boone.
Daniel Boone is a big fucking deal in this state, let me tell you.
That's why they attribute that likeness to Daniel Boone.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what's not up for debate. It's not the world's most popular flag. When the North American Vexillological Association, I'm assuming that's like the flag people.
Mm-hmm. People
Polls
who
the-
get easily vexed.
Yes. Vexled. Polled the public on the best state and province flags in North America in 2001. Kentucky's design finished 66th out of 72 entries.
I mean, it's two white guys in different dress shaking hands.
They're about to kiss.
And
Look
one
at that
has a really
luxurious-
small head compared to
A
the other.
tiny head, and then the other one, the frontiersman, has quite the mullet.
Yeah.
It's
The head size
Discrepancy.
is extreme.
yeah.
It's like pathological.
And I don't like that coat either. It just comes to a point in the rear.
None of
it's
this
not
is
doing anything
good.
for his torso.
It isn't. It gives him some interesting thighs. And he also is wearing heels.
Yeah.
There's so
Got a
much
little
to
chunky
unpack
heel
here.
going on.
And was Daniel Boone like a Ken Barbie doll
Yeah,
blonde?
This is John Smith from Disney's Pocahontas, the deeply
Absolutely.
problematic representation.
Yeah, he also appropriated the dress of the
Yeah.
indigenous local peoples.
Nothing
Which
is okay.
is true of Daniel Boone. He was
Oh, sure.
kidnapped and lived amongst the Native Americans for a while and actually had a better time because he hated his wife. And then
Okay, I don't know shit about Daniel Boone,
Daniel
apparently.
Boone,
Hashtag
very
Boone facts.
fascinating.
Hashtag Boone facts.
Hashtag Boone facts, y'all. Don't sleep on Daniel Boone. There was a lot happening.
I'm pretty
Ooh.
tired. I might sleep on Daniel Boone.
We should do Daniel Boone crimes.
But I don't
Everything
know
about
if
his
he
life.
was bleach blonde as an adult man. I doubt it.
Never trust a blonde man.
Never.
Again.
Especially a blonde man appropriating indigenous culture.
It's a tough look.
Who's about to sell out your entire culture to
Yeah.
this statesman?
I'm surprised he doesn't have blonde dreads.
Oh,
If he had
same.
made it a little bit longer in life,
couple more 100 years, he probably
Yeah.
would.
you
Yeah.
know he would have.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Motherfucker.
here are some fun facts about Kentucky. Go figure, the oldest continuously held horse race in the world is the Kentucky Derby.
Yep.
All the horses have had names beginning with every letter of the alphabet except for the letter X. So we need a Xerxes horse.
Or a xylophone.
Xander.
Xander.
I don't know why I just thought of
Xander
this. but
Cage.
My
Triple
friend,
X.
my friend Sarah has a cat named Velcro, and I just feel like a horse named Xylophone would be perfect.
I kind of like Velcro as a name.
Velcro's
I
a
love
cute
it.
name for a cat or a horse.
Is the cat soft? Doesn't sound
So
like it.
soft.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. So something called Thunder over Louisville, the Derby festivities opening ceremony, has the world's largest fireworks display.
And
Don't
I
you
have
mean
yet to see it
Louisville?
because it's been canceled for the last 2 derbies.
Oh, shoot.
Thanks, COVID.
Well,
can you
I
give
mean,
us
the
a little-
environment is probably happy about that.
That's true. Yeah, it's probably terrible for the atmosphere.
It's probably not great.
Can you give us a little primer on how to say Louisville and why
Well, you just nailed it.
Louisville?
Louisville.
Louisville Redenbacher.
So I did not come up with this, but the main advice
Clearly
is,
not.
is to say it like you're drunk on bourbon. So just slur it.
Oh.
Louisville?
Louisville. Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like Louisville,
Louisville.
right?
Alone.
Louisville.
It's still 3 syllables. It's still Louisville,
Mhm.
but it's definitely not Louisville. And I don't even know how else you would say it. Louisville? Definitely not that.
Okay.
Louisville.
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 Louisville. Louisville.
Oh.
Yeah. And actually, you can tell like flight attendants who come to Louisville often on their routes versus those that don't based on like how they pronounce
Oh,
it.
yeah.
It's really interesting.
That is weird.
Yeah.
Okay, a typical Derby crowd guzzles 120,000 mint juleps and drains 7,000 liters of bourbon
That's
in a
lot.
typical Derby.
I believe
And
it.
no water.
Is a Derby just one weekend? Is it like
Der-
2 days?
Derby itself is one day, but there are other events that take place at Churchill Downs that people tend to also go to. So there's so Derby is the first Saturday in May, and then I think the day before that is Oaks, which is the female horses, the fillies race. And so a lot of people that come in for Derby will also go to Oaks, and
Then
then
get paid 74 cents to the dollar.
yeah. And then Thurby, the Thursday before Derby.
Furby?
Thurby, like Thursday Derby. Thurby is the horse race of like second tier horses that locals apparently go to because the foreigners or the out of staters haven't like come in yet for Derby. So
Okay.
Thurby is for the locals. I haven't gotten to do any of it because of COVID.
You did buy a fascinator last spring, though.
I bought a fascinator. We watched from home to be COVID safe. And so we got dressed up and whatever and had mint juleps at home, just the two
And
of us.
Zach had his little Maker's Mark bow tie.
and I
so
got him.
cute.
It was so cute. I got him a little Maker's Mark bow tie. It's so cute. And we have been to Churchill Downs, but just on like normal ass weekends. So
Yeah.
like tickets are like $10.
Oh,
It's
know.
like going to Canterbury Park on Dollar Thursdays.
Yeah.
Forgot
Furbies.
about that.
Dollar Furbies.
Dollar Furbies. Anyway, it's very fun. I doubt that I will ever go to an actual Derby in person. Just
That's not true because I'm going to force you because I need to experience it because
well,
I
maybe
need to get a giant
someday,
hat.
But I think we would make a lot more money to rent out our house and get out of town. So I
Well,
think I might
you can do that another time.
Okay.
Amanda will rent your house.
I have
No, I
to
won't.
pay off my student loans.
You can
So-
do that next year.
yeah,
You
got a
live
lot
there
of life
now.
ahead of you to pay off your loans.
You got time.
Anyway, it's fun, I assume.
Okay. Ironically, Barron County has some of the state's most fertile soil and was even named Rural America's Best Place to Live by Progressive Farmer magazine.
Wow,
Nice.
I need
Barron
to
County.
subscribe.
It's kind of like the Greenland, Iceland thing.
Yeah. There are also like a shit ton of counties in Kentucky. I think it has more counties than like maybe any other state,
That's weird.
even though it's not like that big compared to other states, but they're just like a shit ton of counties.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's weird.
How odd.
Richmond, Kentucky was almost chosen to be the nation's capital, but it lost out to Washington, D.C. due to a lack of nearby sea sports. Oh, wait, seaports, not sea sports.
Not enough ski-doos.
Seaports.
When
totally
the
read
founding fathers took their ski-doos from the Mayflower ashore.
I put this in my notes because I read it originally as sea sports.
I heard it. You just said it.
I know, but like my reasoning was it was funny because there's not enough jet skiing.
I have been on a jet ski on the Ohio River since moving here.
Oh, that is a look.
Well.
Recommend.
Would you?
I love a jet ski.
I do too.
I do love a jet ski. Despite everything, I love a jet ski.
All of this.
Despite
my identity and my ethics.
So this next fact is disputed, but I'm going to go with it.
Great.
So the song Happy Birthday to You was written by two sisters from Kentucky.
Like
around
happy
the early
birthday to
1900s.
you. Happy birthday to
Yes,
you. Like
ma'am.
that song?
That the one and
It's
only.
called Happy Birthday to You and not just Happy Birthday. I'm deeply
That's technically
unsettled
called
by
Happy
that.
Birthday to You.
I hate that.
Around the early 1900s, Patty Hill was a kindergarten principal in Louisville, and her sister Mildred was the pianist and composer. The sisters used Good Morning to All, Good Morning to All, as a song that young children would find easy to sing. And I will say that when I was younger, my mom used to sing that song to me to wake me up in the morning.
Really?
She'd say, well, a little different. She said, good morning to you. Good morning to you. You smell like a monkey and you look like one too.
Yeah, my mom used to say that shit.
Yeah, so it's a thing.
Rude.
The combination of melody and lyrics in Happy Birthday to You first appeared in print in 1912. None of the early appearances of the Happy Birthday to You lyrics included credits or copyright notices, but this is the general theory, although disputed. More than half of all U.S. troops killed in the War of 1812 were Kentuckians.
Oh, wow.
Poor saps. Covington's Cathedral Basilica of the Assumption boasts the world's largest hand-blown stained glass window, a 67 by 24 foot depiction of the epically exciting Council of Ephesus.
Okay.
67 feet wide. That's fucking
big.
huge.
Yeah.
That is fucking wild that the world's largest hand-blown stained glass window is in Kentucky. That's fucking crazy to me.
Yep. Better go visit it.
Gotta go.
Throw a rock at it.
The city of Middlesboro is the only U.S. city built inside a meteor crater.
Because it's in the middle of a meteor
Of a
crater.
meteor
It's
crater.
burrowed into the middle of a meteor crater.
Exactly. Lots of things were invented in or first revealed in Kentucky, including bib lettuce,
Yum.
yum, enamel bathtubs,
Luck?
right?
Are those
Amanda's
made from
favorite.
teeth?
No.
No.
Doesn't teeth have enamel?
Teeth have enamel, but not all enamel is made from teeth.
Well, I don't know.
Clearly you don't
person.
know.
I don't know.
It's not made of teeth, but I'm tempted to just let you run with this theory. Just see where it takes you. Oh my God.
Okay.
But also, I
fine.
want a bathtub made out of teeth. Hello.
Judgmental mutt. I'm looking up what is enamel.
Great.
Okay, you.
Have fun.
What is Greg Hamill?
Who
Josh
is
Duhamel.
Greg Hamill?
Also, light bulbs, traffic lights, Post-its, and the radio. Kenyon is Googling, so
Yep, just
I'm
keep
gonna-
going.
Okay.
Let her fly.
Students at Lexington's Transylvania University enter a lottery for the chance to spend the night in the on-campus tomb of a 19th century botany professor.
Whoa.
Sign me the fuck up.
Yeah, wow.
Jesus, that's so creepy and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Fort Knox is in Kentucky, currently holding over $180 billion in gold bullion.
Whoa, bullion cubes.
Which is just like gold coins, gold things.
Okay, others have asked,
Yeah.
is the enamel on our bathtub the same stuff that's on my teeth?
I don't think I need to point out how many stupid people are on the internet.
I'm reading.
We're three of them.
Okay, while you're reading, Mammoth Cave is the longest cave system in the world.
I wanna go
Kentucky
check
has
that
a
out.
lot of world records.
A lot of
who
big
knew?
caves. Very cool big caves.
Are you gonna is your house gonna sink into a sinkhole? Like big
Probably.
caves
There
sound
are
cool,
big sinkholes.
but that's
Wow.
that's scary. I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if her house sank into a sinkhole, but it stayed intact, that would be cool because you could
That
just
would be
continue
cool.
living in a cave.
That would
Right.
increase your property value for sure.
Absolutely.
This does not give a very straightforward answer.
The answer is no.
except to say that tooth enamel and other enamel is made out of calcium crystals, so it's essentially the same exact fucking thing.
You asked if it was made out of teeth.
Yeah, bathtubs are not made out of teeth. Let's just put this to rest.
Because we can mimic the same product as tooth enamel is not the same as is it made out of teeth. You see the difference, right? I need to know that you see the difference.
Fine, but they're very similar.
Oh, great.
Okay.
No one's debating that. Congratulations. I need you to tell me that you understand.
I need to hear you say the words. Okay,
Michael, I need to hear you say you're not the Godfather.
I have to keep going.
I'm so sorry. I need you to say it.
Say it.
I won't.
Say it.
I need more information. I'm going to do my own research.
Oh, that
my
always
God.
ends well. Maybe there's something on YouTube you can cite.
No.
Reddit.
Okay.
I'm a bathtub truther.
Mammoth Cave. Over 400 toother. I'm a tub toother. I'm a tooth tub truther.
Okay, sorry.
Amanda's done. She's officially resigned.
Turn
all right,
it
you
into
can
my
buy us
batch and
out.
my gun.
You can buy us out. Okay.
Buy us out. We'll find
Okay.
another blue-haired hoe.
Okay, over 400 miles of the limestone caves have been explored, but there's way more than just that. The caves are home to a variety of subterranean oddities, including the endangered Kentucky cave shrimp, which is a blind albino crustacean.
Oh, is that? I saw that picture on the drive and I was like, where is this going? Go as
It's a
that for
blind albino
Halloween.
crustacean.
Go as the Kentucky cave shrimp for Halloween. Why is he
I'm
not on the
mostly
flag?
blind and mostly albino, so I'm there.
Just saying.
And I
would
wish
not
I
be an
lived in a
expensive
cave.
costume.
Okay, here are some food facts because there are a lot of food facts out of Kentucky.
Okay.
There are more barrels of bourbon at any given moment in Kentucky than people, and it's almost a ratio of 2 to 1.
Nice. That's for the best.
I know.
People are terrible.
Despite this, the state beverage is milk.
Why?
I don't know.
Milk?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Oh, that's horrible.
I really hate that.
Kaylin's restaurant in Louisville claims to have invented the cheeseburger in 1934, although a Denver drive-in called Humpty Dumpty's patented it a year later, and I feel like we've talked about this.
We drove past it because it's on our way to Target. From
No, I
my
think we
house.
talked about this in Colorado Crimes.
Oh, we might have.
The Humpty Dumpty's with the cheeseburger.
Oh, Well, the restaurant you and I have driven past.
Restaurant.
Well, we should go there when I visit later next month.
I'll also be
When
there.
we visit. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm here too.
You're moving anyway.
I bought my house.
I own my house.
Pretty settled.
When am I moving?
I don't want to move.
What do you know that I don't know?
All right. Unlike Uncle Ben, Aunt Jemima, and Betty Crocker, Colonel Sanders really did exist, and he developed his secret recipe for fried chicken in Corbin, Kentucky. And I might add, he was friends with John Wayne Gacy.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
And apparently he was a huge dick, according to my hairdresser.
I'm sure.
Colonel Sanders?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And
wouldn't
John
you
Wayne
be?
Gacy, but that's not news.
Well,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Remember when Kathy Hilton thought Bernie Sanders was Colonel Sanders on Real
Yes.
Housewives last week?
That was
And
such a
I
good episode.
I'm a
Sobbed.
week behind.
You're gonna
saw-
love it. Kathy
I saw-
Hilton's the best thing to happen to television since.
Oh my God. I don't know why she
Television.
didn't join sooner. It's so great.
I
mean, it's
know.
obvious
Well-
that she was just filling a gap, but still.
Right.
I saw a meme of her earlier today that says, like, me whenever I go to my parents' house. And it's her just going, do we have any little treats we can eat?
That is every time we go to your parents' house.
My parents. Specifically
And
my parents.
There
Your
are
parents-
always little treats.
They
we
already have
can eat.
treats.
Lucy's parents have taken the place of all of our parents.
Oh, yeah. They've been carrying a heavy load. No wonder her dad basically lives in Baudette now. He's like,
gone. He's
I'm
gone."
done. He's gone.
I did not sign up for 6 children.
No.
6 adult sons.
Yeah.
Okay. Pikeville, Kentucky leads the nation in per capita Pepsi consumption.
Ish. Okay.
Ish.
Hate that journey for you, Pikeville.
Duncan
Take a Pike.
Hines. Duncan Hines of cake mix fame hailed from Bowling Green.
Ooh, my case happens in Bowling Green.
Nice. Kentucky's main event barbecue meat is mutton. This mutton is often served with another Kentucky favorite, the thick, spicy vegetable and meat stew known as burgo.
Burgoo.
Burgoo.
Burgish.
Gross. Don't know
Want
it.
some thick
Haven't
brown?
had it.
I don't like it.
Well, I love a hot stew, as you know.
Well, you might like this one
Aphrodisiac.
too then. The state's signature sandwich, the hot brown.
Yes.
Isn't the healthiest choice, but it's undeniably delicious. This open-faced delicacy consists of bread piled with turkey, ham, bacon, and sliced tomato.
Okay.
Drowned in a
yum.
rich cheddar sauce and then broiled.
Okay, I don't want the cheddar sauce, but I want gravy instead.
They have
I
it
thought
with
the
gravy.
hot brown had gravy, but it's
Yeah.
because it originated at Louisville's Brown Hotel in 1923.
There's
Interesting.
definitely a version with gravy. I
Yeah,
think
no
all
cheddar
of them
sub
are
gravy.
disgusting, but you do you.
I just
I
want
will do
brown
me.
gravy.
More for me.
I love
It is brown gravy
gravy
season,
on mashed
baby.
potatoes.
Fill your tooth tub with it. Let's go. Talk about a gravy,
Fill your
boy.
tooth tub with the brown gravy.
With my hot
Yeah,
brown.
baby.
Y'all. Fill your tooth tub with my hot brown.
All right, Amanda, this is going to make you gag also, but I love it.
Great. I love it.
Trigg
Here we go.
County, Kentucky is home to an annual ham festival, and its huge country ham biscuit is certified as the largest country ham biscuit by Guinness Book of World Records.
They clearly haven't measured my country ham biscuit.
You
Or
got a lot going on.
they'd be singing a different tune.
The biscuits in this city or in this state are pretty out of this world. And
Are
there's
they
a
fluffy and
drive
flaky
through.
or are they hard?
There's all different kinds. Whatever kind floats your boat. I prefer the hard. I like a scone. I like a very stale, dry
You are a
scone
mess.
biscuit.
Because you're a British widow.
Yes.
What your aesthetic is.
That's true.
You're a bitter British widow
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
walking the widow's walk of your
Yeah.
mansion every
Choking
evening
on
at
a dry
dusk.
biscuit as penance for
I
your
like
loss.
a dry biscuit and a lot of gin.
Like you'd love for your husband to return from sea, but you're
But if
totally
he didn't,
fine
you're
if he
fine.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Like it would
It
be
makes
nice,
for a better
but
story if he
but would
doesn't
it?
come back.
you're good either way, you know?
Would it?
Maybe you want a room of one's own. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much. So
Sounds
I like
kinda
a
nice.
dry biscuit, and some
Wow.
like it soft and fluffy because
Yeah.
they're weak-willed.
Okay. I'd really like to keep my teeth is the issue.
No, she wants to make a bathtub out of hers. So
All of Kenyon's teeth are now wood as per British widow status.
you're a British widow with wooden teeth. With
wooden
That's your
teeth.
aesthetic.
So you'd prefer a dry, hard biscuit.
You're a monster.
I like what I
Keeps
like,
the teeth
okay?
sharp. I
No-
like
no
what I
regrets.
like.
I like what I like. Okay. Speaking of Kenyon's aesthetic, here's a really nerdy scandal for you. This is again from that Mental Floss article.
Okay.
Kentucky's state tree is a surprisingly hot political issue. In 1956, the state legislature named the tulip poplar the state tree, but a clerical error kept the bill giving the tulip poplar the honors from ever being officially added to the books. So they never actually announced it, passed it, made it into law.
Okay.
When this
Blah, blah,
blunder
blah.
came to light in 1973, which was
a while ago,
17 years later,
Mm-hmm.
the legislature decided to reconsider the issue because it was suddenly open season for fans of other trees to make their case for the state's highest arboreal honor.
Oh.
Despite hard charges by sycamore and tulip poplar advocates, in 1976, the legislature settled on the Kentucky coffee tree, a relatively rare species whose seeds provided pioneers with a coffee substitute. The
Interesting.
tulip poplar faction didn't just roll over and accept this defeat, though. They kept agitating for the legislature to once again reopen the issue and return the tulip poplar to its rightful throne.
Would you say that
Wow.
they agitated perennially?
Oh my god.
Maybe, because I don't really know what perennial means, apparently.
Turns out.
Through the years. Keep up. The
After
one
years-
time I was right, I'll
Yeah.
never forget it.
You'll
I
never
know.
let it go.
Kenny, my father-in-law, fucking called me to be like, Amanda really got you both.
Really gotcha.
I
Good
know.
for her. I gotta
She
call
needs
Kenny.
a win every now and then.
I gotta thank him. I gotta give him a call.
I know
Let's
he was
wrap
like,
this
you
up.
and Lucy sounded really,
Really dumb."
dumb.
You got a lot of egg on your face.
The amount of tweets we got that were like, I was screaming in my car. It felt good.
It could work either way, though.
But it couldn't.
confusing.
It's been
It
decided.
doesn't, but it could. Okay. Anyway,
It's
let's
the
move
only
on.
time my
because
mother's ever been proud of me. Let me have this.
This is a very dark moment in my personal memory, so let's move on. Okay, after years of campaigning, their efforts finally paid off. In January 1994, this
Wow.
started in 76.
Jesus Christ.
The tulip poplar was once again named Kentucky's state tree. Fans of the Kentucky coffee tree have no doubt spent the last 2 decades plotting their counter move.
That is so boring.
I love it.
I knew Kenyon would love it.
Yeah.
So here are some weird Kentucky laws that will make you wonder what the fuck went down to make these laws.
Oh no.
It is illegal for a woman to wear a bathing suit on a highway unless she is escorted by 2 police officers or is armed with a club.
All right.
Well, I've broken
Don't,
that law.
don't police women's clothing, but okay.
Yeah.
Every
But
time
also,
I drive
like,
home from the
way
beach, I break that law.
Yep.
True. In Lexington, it is illegal to carry an ice cream cone in your pocket, so don't even think about it.
Okay.
It is illegal to fish with a bow and arrow.
Okay.
Somebody better tell Lucy's dad.
Who hurt who?
Lucy's dad, who was actually Daniel Boone, who has never died.
That's a spear gun. It's not technically a bow and arrow. It's fine.
Okay, lawyer.
He's training.
In Frankfurt, he is training. In Frankfurt, it is a crime to shoot off a policeman's tie.
Okay.
I would
Couldn't
say
you
it's
just-
probably illegal to shoot toward
Right. Couldn't you just
anybody.
lump that in with firing at an officer? And that kind of takes care of
Attempted
that.
homicide.
Attempted homicide.
She reapplies her red lipstick. I like it.
I see it.
British widow.
You are a British widow. Throwing eggs at a public speaker can result in up to a year in prison.
Okay,
Too
good.
bad.
Too much.
A person is legally considered sober until he, quote, cannot hold on to the ground.
Until proven guilty.
Okay, gonna need more people to be aware of that definition.
Right.
You're getting
It
pulled
probably
over for a
wouldn't
DUI.
fly if you were like driving, but maybe like public intox, like on foot.
Like just walking around. I don't condone driving under any level of intoxication.
No, of
but
course
just
not.
walking around,
especially
not?
during Thurby.
right?
Furby.
I'm a local.
I'm tethered to the ground.
I'm a local.
I'm a local.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
To this day, Kentucky's governors must swear an oath before taking office that they have never fought a duel with deadly weapons.
Okay.
Okay.
Just sword
Stuff.
fighting at the urinal after a derby game.
yeah.
How else do you sort the wheat from the chaff?
Okay. So I want to end my
My
segment
God.
with my favorite fun fact about Kentucky. Here we go. Yes, there's a photo on the drive. Get ready. In the mid-20th century, Lexington had a town dog named Smiley Pete.
Oh my
you can
God.
see why he was named that if you look at his photo.
His silk bow.
What a darling.
He has
He's
eyebrows.
a smiler. The stray dog, who was named for his human-like grin, was a fixture in downtown Lexington.
Oh,
Locals collectively looked after Smiley Pete, and the pooch supposedly had a daily routine that included begging for a hamburger and waffle at a diner and a bowl of draft beer at a tavern. When Smiley Pete passed away in 1957, he was memorialized with a brass plate on the sidewalk in his old sniffing grounds.
Give him food and water, please.
Give him a home.
Yeah,
that
right?
too.
So R.I.P.
I love
Smiley
him.
Pete. He's so fucking sweet. I love
would
him.
have taken him in a heartbeat.
1,000%.
Smiley Pete and his big silk bow.
Oh.
He's so cute.
He's so cute.
Oh, anyway, that's my segment. Now you know
Amazing.
more about Kentucky than you ever wanted to.
I love it. Well done.
Thanks.
Okay, so my case. I definitely spent more time on this case than any other.
Oh,
Then
great.
you spent Googling whether bathtubs are made out of teeth.
That is pretty much neck and neck. But anyway.
Jury's still out, people. Wake up, sheeple.
No, it's not.
Wake up, sheeple.
Well, the
Tooth enamel
4-year-old
and
girl who
bathtub enamel
also
are the
Googled
same.
it.
are people.
Soylent
All right.
Green.
So for most
Soylent
sheeple,
clean.
Kentucky is probably much more likely to bring to mind stories of bootlegging than marijuana farming.
Oh.
But Barron County has very good soil.
But the state, and in particular the area of Marion County,
Oh, Madam Librarian County.
Marion.
Madam Librarian.
I made Zach watch The Music Man like not that long ago. He had never seen it, and he was
With a
like,
capital T and that rhymes with P and it
enthralled.
stands for pool.
P and that stands for pool.
It's one of my favorite musicals.
It's the best.
It's
All right.
so
Talk a little,
good.
talk a little, big
So-
little, talk a little, big. Sorry.
Okay.
One
Grecian
that is Lucy.
We need to do a rewatch. It won't hold up. Warning.
Okay, so Marion County, Kentucky has a lengthy history in both illicit industries of bootlegging and marijuana farming. So Marion County, located in basically the exact center of the state, was one of the most prolific and well-known producers of moonshine back in the day. The infamous gangster John Dillinger even hid out for a time in Gravel Switch, Kentucky, which is located in Marion County.
Check
Maybe
out
this
my
is
gravel
why,
switch.
like NASCAR is kind of big in
Maybe.
Kentucky, right? 'Cause it has its roots in
Rum running.
running.
It could be. I mean, basically, people just were like very into moonshining and bootlegging and like not fucking snitching on anybody. And we will get to it.
You also have all those mountains and all those rolling hills and
So many
forests.
caves and crevasses.
You can hide.
You can hide out. And it's very rural, and people are just like gonna help their
Bored.
neighbor and not
right.
gonna fucking help the feds.
Mm-hmm. There are no snitches.
No snitches in Gravel Switch.
Mm.
So, even when Prohibition finally ended, restrictive alcohol sale laws were not entirely repealed in Kentucky, leaving the state as a patchwork of wet and dry counties and ensuring that there was like a continuing market for moonshine. And it's,
Yeah, that's not complex at all.
A patchwork of wet and dry counties is probably not that effective.
not very effective for buying alcohol, but it is like effective for allowing moonshiners to still market their product.
Oh, yeah. And especially like you said, there's so many counties. So they're probably very small counties. So like a literal checkerboard of this wet and dry.
Yeah.
Like you just go a couple miles down the road and get what you need.
Exactly. But also there's like evidence that the moonshiners wanted their counties to be dry counties because if like legal liquor stores opened up, they wouldn't be
they're
able
out
to
of
sell
business.
their moonshine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Supply
Oh,
and
yeah.
demand. Oh, yeah.
So then, about a decade after the repeal of the 18th Amendment, the United States federal government began subsidizing the growing of hemp on numerous Kentucky farms. And that is because the fiber from hemp was used in World War II to manufacture ropes and lines for the U.S. Navy.
Oh, yeah.
Because hemp is actually extremely useful.
And durable.
Yeah. And sustainable because it grows really fast. So this policy was referred to as Hemp for Victory. And for the duration of World War II, it made marijuana not only legal, but highly encouraged as a crop for farmers to cultivate.
During World War II?
Yep.
Wow.
Listen, marijuana was not federally made illegal until like in our parents' lifetime.
Like there was like a push in the 30s and then they were like, wait, never mind, backtrack, we need the hemp. And then in the 50s after the war, they were like, never mind, people are getting high off this, crack down.
Yeah, never mind. We can put black people in prison for this.
Right.
Let's make it illegal.
Right.
It's
right.
profitable.
Black people and Latino people.
Yep.
So hemp and marijuana are both derived from the same plant species. They just contain different THC content. And so hemp seeds contain very, very little THC, whereas other parts of the plant contain higher levels of THC, which is what gets you high.
Like the flower and the bud.
And the bud and the
flower.
stem. And I like don't know anything about pot, so I had to
Not
Google
Northern
that.
Lights
stem. That's why you
indica.
take the stems
I
out.
don't know because I don't care. So anyway.
Because I buy good weed that doesn't have seeds or stems.
I've actually never even bought weed. I know so little about it. Like I smoke it when it is given to me. I've never bought it.
Oh, I have a quick
Oh,
anecdote.
my God.
So I'm not going to name any specifics, but I was asked to drive a coworker home. And I'll just say we worked in a restaurant together.
I was going to say, you
And
only
he
have
worked in the
two
kitchen
coworkers.
and I was a bartender.
And they're on this call right now. So this is going to be easy
This
to
was a
figure out who it
long
is.
time ago.
Past
Okay.
coworker.
This was a
Okay.
past life, long time ago. And we get to his house and he's like, oh, come in and like we can smoke like as a thank you for driving me home, whatever. I was like, okay.
You're like, I have to drive home, but okay.
Well, I lived very, very close. But I'm not justifying anything. I was very young, very stupid, and actually didn't end up smoking, which I will explain this anyway. So he comes inside and he hands me a Frisbee full of like really bad weed. And he's like, here, just break this up. I'm going to go change my clothes quick. And I was like,
Okay.
what does that mean? And he was like, just pick out like the seeds and the stems. And I was like, oh, okay. Obvious to the eye. What is the stem and what is the seed? And he's like, I'll just fucking do it. It was like, on second thought, this is very foreign to me. This specific shitty weed. So I'm just gonna go home. I'm good actually.
I'm out.
Yeah.
It's like,
I just had
didn't
no
know.
desire to like learn about it, and people who knew a lot about it were really annoying and like
very annoying
and like show offy about it. So I just opted out.
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, so Kentucky was tasked with growing hemp for the war effort in order to provide seeds to the government, which could then be cultivated in territories with more favorable year-round growing conditions, such as Hawaii. So they were mainly there to like get the seeds.
Get it started and then it gets sent somewhere else. Yeah.
So in 1942, the U.S. government asked Marion County to produce enough seed for 500,000 acres of hemp.
Dang.
Roughly enough for 453,750 football fields of marijuana plants.
That's
a
an
lot of
awful lot. That's
weed.
like bigger than Kentucky.
500,000 football fields of pot.
I don't like that.
At the time, marijuana had not really caught on in the U.S. as a recreational drug to the extent that it later would, especially in Kentucky, where alcohol was still the intoxicant of choice. So a lot of like regular folks, especially rural folks, weren't smoking weed yet. It wasn't common. In fact, many farmers in Kentucky only learned of marijuana's effects accidentally.
Oh, love that.
After harvesting the hemp crop, they would use a thresher to separate the parts of the plant the U.S. government wanted, which was the seeds, from the parts that it didn't. And having no use for the rest of this plant,
they
would
burn it off?
set fire to the leftovers.
My God, yes.
And quickly notice that breathing in the smoke from these
Feels
massive
good.
hot pyres
Feels really good.
made them feel a little strange.
Oh
What
my
was
God.
that movie that took place in like an English tiny little town, countryside town, where like someone started growing weed and like all of the elderly little conservative tight buttoned up like British citizens like slowly started getting high?
I don't
and
know.
someone tried to
No.
like burn the field and the whole town got high.
This sounds right up my alley as a
It's
British
straight
widow.
up your alley. I'll Google it. I'll figure it out.
All right. So after World War II, marijuana was reclassified as an illegal crop, but the knowledge of how to successfully grow it had obviously remained amongst those farmers who had done so during the war. And then came the Vietnam War.
It's called
Yeah.
Saving Grace.
Mm.
It's a 2000 British comedy film.
Shaving grace.
She needs to be shaved.
So Vietnam comes along, obviously a generation later. And Vietnam is known for heavy drug use among American troops, and it introduced many American young men to drugs like marijuana and heroin for the first time, both of which could be easily obtained on the black market in Vietnam. And, they needed like an escape from
The hell they were
the
living.
hell of war. So when some of these Vietnam veterans returned home to Kentucky, they realized that their home state, because it sits on the 37th parallel, the same latitude that runs through the Hindu Kush Mountains, where indica cannabis strains originated, provided the perfect conditions for growing marijuana.
Wow.
They were like, let's fucking do this. There's high unemployment. There's high poverty in our state. We have
High is right.
Oh, yeah. We have a farming background. We're on this parallel. Let's fucking do it.
And as far as they know, the federal government would like promote it at this
Right.
point. Like,
Well, it wasn't at this point because it's the 70s.
Oh, right. It's illegal by then.
oh, okay.
But
But
they...
in the past,
But maybe their dad's generation...
Yeah.
were
They're familiar
growing
with the
it.
practice.
Right. They weren't
Yeah.
that far removed from the complete acceptance of the federal government.
Basically, their dads had grown it for the government before being told not to, and their grandfathers were bootleggers.
So,
and
like,
moonshiners.
they're going to grow weed in a great weed growing area.
Right.
It's in their blood.
So, however, unlike in the days of World War II, growing marijuana in Kentucky was now a much more difficult proposition. At first, these upstart weed farmers cut deals with more established, regular, normal farmers, some of which had previously cultivated hemp when that had been legal, but now they'd switched to like corn or whatever the fuck.
Something boring like corn.
Corn, which is big in Minnesota.
Big in Minnesota.
Fucking love corn. The food.
Everybody
Did you
loves
know
corn.
that corn enamel is made from teeth?
Oh, my bathtubs. They grind up teeth and
Yep.
bathtubs.
I just pictured a cob of corn made out of molars.
Oh, I bet
yum.
that exists. So anyway, so when they first started, they went to normal farmers and they were like, "Can we grow some marijuana just like sprinkled in between your corn crops so that
Tuck
we
it
don't
away.
get caught, and we will give you a cut of the sale at the end of the season?" And the farmers were like, "Okay, sure, fine." And then they were able to like hide the pot, and everybody was happy, right? It worked well for a while. The only real problem in the early years was marketing the marijuana once it was grown. So people on the coasts who were used to smoking pot tended to look down on the pot that was initially grown in Kentucky and called it hillbilly pot.
It was probably really good weed, though.
Well, at first it wasn't so good, but only in like the first like 2 or 3 years it was like kind of shit, apparently. Although there was lingering knowledge in the community about how to successfully grow the plant, it had never been grown before with the goal of like providing a pleasurable high. It had been grown for hemp seeds.
Right. So
So
they
they
had to
had-
adjust.
They had to adjust. They had to like tweak it, figure it out.
Fucking West Coast marijuana elitists
Yeah.
have been around for fucking ever.
Right. So they figured it out. They did some experimentation. And with the help of like a really ideal growing climate, soon enough, they had tweaked it enough. They had a really desirable and really high quality marijuana product.
Nice.
But once Kentucky growers grew more skilled at their craft, and as word spread across the country about the quality of this so-called bluegrass,
Kentucky bluegrass.
what
Love
you
it.
ah,
Love it.
the industry inevitably grew, and it was no longer enough to just hide a few plants in some corn crops here and there. They
Can't
needed
keep
to
up.
like scale up. So out-of-state buyers with deep pockets began ordering in advance, and sometimes they would front like $100,000 to these growers for like seed, fertilizer, planting, transplanting, cultivation, harvesting, security, like the whole shebang. They were like, here's a bunch of money up front, and then I expect like this much by the end of the season.
Right. Wow.
During the harvest season, which lasted for a couple months starting in mid-October, it was not unheard of for large West Coast distributors to turn around a ton of Kentucky marijuana per week.
Like a literal ton.
A
Yeah.
ton.
Wow.
Oh, a week. Jesus.
That's a lot of fucking pot.
Yeah. So within a couple decades, Kentucky boasted the largest homegrown marijuana syndicate in U.S. history.
Wow.
God, who knew?
Fun fact.
And as they started to make more and more money and attract more people into the business, it became almost impossible to continue to fly under the radar of Kentucky police. So word started to get out, and the police started to like search out these marijuana farms. One problem was that as the years went on, some of the newer people that became involved in the growing were more violent than the original group of farmers.
Ooh. That's
and
a
that
little
also
scary.
kind of like coincided with like the 1980s and cocaine. So some people started being involved in like cocaine sales, even though they weren't growing cocaine.
There's a lot going on.
Or they were just like doing a lot of cocaine, and then they were paranoid, and then they had the money, so they were buying like guns and Corvettes and like the whole fucking thing.
Just kind of merged into one drug trafficking
Mess.
situation.
Right. Whereas like the original core group, they were living in literal cabins that their ancestors had lived in for like 6 generations.
Yeah.
They were driving beat up old trucks that could
Nothing fancy.
Right, whatever. And then this younger generation was like, fucking Scarface, whatever, and driving a red Corvette in rural Kentucky. And it was like,
suspicious.
really, bruh?
Mm-hmm.
So some would say that they had to be a little more violent and weaponize themselves because they were now dealing with a new phenomenon called rippers, which is like thieves that would come and steal their shit in the middle of the night from their fields. But still, sometimes the lengths to which they went were a little extreme.
Mm-hmm.
So one man who had a particular reputation for violence was named Garland Russell. Once, when he discovered that someone had been poaching plants from a hidden patch near a river, he assembled a crew and descended on the home of a sharecropping family whom he believed to be the culprits. So he just was like, I know who did that. Let's get him. The men opened fire on the small shack, shooting out the windows and killing the family dog.
No.
If it was Smiley Pete, I'm going to scream.
It wasn't Smiley Pete, but it's still just as tragic.
True. It's sad.
It was Frowny Fran.
Not Frowny Fran. My second favorite dog.
So
Lucy only likes dogs that don't exist.
Smiley Pete existed. There are
Okay,
photos.
I'll give you that.
And a memorial bench.
You're right.
So not content to stop, Garland Russell planned to kill the entire family and had to be restrained by his accomplices who were like, we've sent enough of a message.
Yeah,
We don't
we're
need
good.
to
Christ.
massacre this whole family.
Garland is a lunatic.
Yeah. On another occasion, Russell caught 2 rippers in action stealing plants from one of his patches. He chased the thieves down and beat both of them severely before restraining them with lengths of a logging chain.
Oh.
Jesus.
Oh, that's dark.
It gets worse. He then used the chain to hog-tie one of them, and the other one he hung upside down from the ceiling of a nearby abandoned house. And then he doused both of them with gasoline and just like left them for a while.
Holy hell.
Didn't light him on fire.
Didn't light them on fire. I think
Left
they
them
survived,
Marinating.
but it was pretty bleak.
Ew.
Ugh.
So, although many other farmers strongly disagreed with these violent tactics, there was a strong code of silence amongst all of them. And it was understood that nobody involved in the ring or even in the wider community of like Marion County or these nearby Kentucky counties, nobody would rat on each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like pure
Loyalty.
silence.
Yeah.
Even some of the like regular farmers had pretty extreme tactics. So many of them had their fields patrolled by Rottweilers who'd had their vocal cords surgically removed.
Oh, God.
Oh, so they'd just be quiet?
So they would
Like sneak up on him?
And then attack.
Yes.
Oh.
Literally, yes. So they wouldn't bark, but they were still trained to attack. And they
So
would
without
just
warning, you'd get mauled by a dog.
a Rottweiler.
Yikes.
That is so
Which
fucking
Rottweilers
sad.
are not inherently dangerous.
No.
No dog
No.
species is inherently dangerous. It's all
Of
about
course.
the socialization.
Yeah, they were trained to
do
be
this.
attack dogs.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And also they could like alert if police were coming, but they would alert in like a visual way and not in a barking way, so police wouldn't know that they had been seen and people could get away.
Wow.
Many also would booby trap their marijuana crops by stringing the plants with fish hooks at eye level. So like the people harvesting them knew that they existed so they could take precautions, but like police wouldn't.
Or thieves.
Or
rippers.
Thieves. They would do dynamite tied to tripwires. Like
I'm never going to get over the fish
hooks.
hooks.
Landmine at that
I'd rather
point.
be blown up than have a fish hook in my eyeball.
And sometimes live rattlesnakes.
Oh, that's,
good.
That's a good one. That's a fun one.
So at some point, the group of pot farmers in Kentucky began going by the nickname the Cornbread Mafia.
Wow.
Oh, I like that.
It's unclear exactly when this nickname started. The name would not be used in the public until 1989 at a press conference, but it most certainly originated earlier amongst the members themselves. Like they were calling themselves the Cornbread Mafia, and then eventually it became public.
That's hilarious.
Love it when a group gives itself a nickname.
Yeah.
The first time authorities realized marijuana was being grown in Marion County was likely on July 10th, 1973, when a police officer pulled over a car driven by a 26-year-old local man. The officer saw a grocery bag on the floor by the passenger seat and noticed a particular smell coming from it. The officer then
just
demanded...
ran over a skunk. I don't see what the
Maybe.
big deal is.
No
The officer
probable cause.
then demanded that the driver pop the trunk, which he apparently did, and then the officer found 59 additional paper bags.
Oh, that's a lot of paper bags.
Ran over a lot of skunks. We were skunk collecting.
Each bag, he later estimated, contained enough marijuana to make 100 cigarettes.
Amazing.
good
A
estimate.
marijuana cigarette.
Officer.
To do 100 cigarettes of weeds.
Of marijuana.
The devil's lettuce.
The wacky tobacco.
So police in this part of Kentucky already focused a lot of their time and resources on tracking down bootleggers that were still illegally operating. And now they just added tracking down illegal marijuana farms to their list.
Great.
They eventually acquired planes and helicopters so that they could search for marijuana farms from the sky
Oh my
Yikes.
god.
because they were so well hidden from the roads and stuff that like from the sky is like the only way they could find them.
And it's so rural. Rural.
Super
Rural.
rural. Once they got the planes, though, people were pretty fucked. Like that was
Yeah.
a big game changer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So by this time, the Cornbread Mafia had enough connections and resources that when they felt the authorities were moving in too close, they began moving a large portion of their growing operations to neighboring states. However, they would still transport the product back to Kentucky after processing so that buyers would pay a premium for what they thought was Kentucky bluegrass, even though a lot of it was grown in like Illinois, Minnesota,
Some
Missouri,
crap.
whatever. But it was grown by these Kentucky guys, but it was still grown like all over.
Okay.
Also, there was like funny stories about when one of the guys started a growing operation in like northern Minnesota and how like all of the like local like Scandinavian descendant people had like no fucking clue what was happening. And they like planted corn to hide the marijuana crops.
Yeah.
But they planted the corn late intentionally so that it coincided with like when
The growth.
it coincided with the growth so that the marijuana plants wouldn't be like higher than the corn
Right.
plants.
Sticking
Right.
out like a sore thumb.
And so Sven and Oli were like, what are you doing over
Yeah,
there?
exactly. Sven and Oli were like,
Oh, a
these
little
guys
late
don't-
to be planting corn. Don't know what you're doing. These assholes are never going to make it.
exactly.
Martha, make them a hot dish. There's no way they're eating this winter. They're turning their corn so late in the season. What are these yahoos doing over here?
This fellow over here.
This little fella don't know what he's doing.
fucking Word for word, exactly, yes. So I just thought
Marianne, this little fella over here don't know what he's doing. You gotta make him some food for the winter.
You better make him a hot dish. They're gonna starve.
You got any more of those moose slippers? They're gonna be starving and frozen by the time January comes.
Better make him a spare for the root cellar.
Well, take one for the road, but make sure to bring that Tupperware back.
What if we got pickled?
What do we got in the deep freeze? These little fellas gonna need something to get them through the wintertime.
Oh, they're gonna be skin and bones. Anyway,
These skin and bones come May, come spring.
God. That's so cute.
I know, isn't that amazing?
I love that.
Everybody was like, "Why are you planning so late?" And they were like, "Don't worry
about it, and also stop asking us questions."
Hope you know how to ice fish.
Yeah, you're gonna need it.
Here, I brought you some wood for the fire. You're gonna need it.
Marianne pickled some walleye last season. We didn't go through it all this past year, so you can take the leftovers.
Here's some lutefisk. I've had enough for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay. So police began dedicating themselves to figuring out who the ringleader of this massive growing operation was. And they believed that they had cracked the case when they learned of a man named Bobby Joe Shoemaker.
Oh, God.
Who managed 12 farms scattered throughout Kansas and Missouri.
That's a lot of farms.
A lot of farms. But after authorities arrested Shoemaker, it soon became clear that he wasn't the cornbread kingpin.
Oh,
and there was
cornbread.
Somebody else with an even larger operation still at large.
Uh-oh.
So this person was a Kentucky native named Johnny Boone.
Daniel Boone.
Who claimed to be descended from Daniel Boone.
Really?
Yeah. Same as fucking Boone, and he's from Kentucky.
Super uncommon name.
He would later be referred to as the King of Pot and the Godfather of Grass.
Okay, sir. Maybe we shouldn't give ourselves nicknames.
Yeah, really.
In 1960, at 17 years old, Boone had won the Kentucky 4-H championship for a tobacco farm project, which consisted of, quote, 2.6 acres, which he irrigated, suckered carefully, and saved all of the ground leaves. And then this was actually his second statewide 4-H championship. He'd also won 2 years earlier at 15 for breeding sheep.
Oh, he was a man of the land.
Wow.
So he graduated from high school in 1961, was a football star.
Oh, wow.
And although he had a scholarship for the University of Kentucky, go Wildcats. Actually, I'm a Cardinals fan. It's fine. Johnny Boone instead started a young...
You're not an anything fan.
I'm
you
not an
don't
anything
watch
fan.
sports.
I own
not of anything.
a Cardinals t-shirt. Red is more my color. It's fine. Yeah. So anyway, Johnny Boone started a family young and remained in his home, Marion County, on the farm that had belonged to his grandfather, who just happened to be a bootlegger.
Got it.
According to one source, quote, Johnny Boone started farming and distilling on both sides of the law to raise his family.
Oh, he's a family man.
Man's gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Boone is credited as being the early member of the Cornbread Mafia who had been able to figure out how to successfully breed the plants in order to produce a product that would give people a strong but pleasurable high.
Now we're talking.
Boone, who is described by one source as, quote, an imposing man with a Santa Claus beard, and omerta, the Italian mafia word for code of silence,
loyalty.
tattooed across his back.
Oh.
And there are
Wow.
photos of this guy on the drive. He does look like Santa Claus.
He does. I was peeking at him earlier. Oh, with a big old doobie. Check him out.
Yeah. I like how they have his eyes crossed out in this one, but not the next photo.
Right.
He was first arrested in the late 70s when authorities found his growing operation, and he just surrendered. But they didn't realize that he was likely the kingpin of like the whole syndicate.
Oh my God.
Can we talk about his nipple for a second?
splits.
Which one?
What's wrong with it?
It's just a little folded.
Oh.
It's a
The
little
doobie
small
photo.
and folded.
It
Some
kind of
nipples
looks
are
like a
folded
skin
little.
tag.
It
Yeah.
looks like a skin tag. And
Leave
it's
his
also the
nips
only nipple you can
alone.
see in his mugshot.
It's a bit much.
Maybe he only has one.
Yeah.
Maybe he lost the other one in a marijuana growing accident. His auger
Smoking
caught it.
pot will decrease your nipples, everyone. So just
Will
watch
decrease.
out.
I don't think
Your
that's true because I
nipples. Yeah.
smoke a lot of pot and I think it might increase your nipples.
There's no way to know.
There is a way. I'm proof. Correlation and causation, my friends.
The wall behind you is covered in nipples.
Just huge. Tracts of land.
So they catch him. They think they get him for just like one small growing thing. They have no idea that he is the
Right.
real brains behind the operation. He serves his time. It's not a long sentence. He gets out.
Yes.
Then in 1987, there was a massive DEA bust of 70 Kentucky farmers,
Oh, geez.
Boone among them, who had been operating a network of 30 large-scale farms across 10 Midwestern states,
Whoa.
cultivating hundreds of tons of marijuana every year.
He's an
Jesus.
entrepreneur.
That's
But
a
even-
lot.
He's franchising.
It's a lot. They had to have entire farms that they just planted fake crops because they had to have somewhere to
They've
store
got
their equipment for all the other farms.
and probably launder a little money through those farms
Yeah.
too, I would
Right.
imagine.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's genius,
Yeah.
honestly.
So even after this enormous takedown, the code of silence amongst the Cornbread Mafia didn't waver.
Airtight.
According to one source, of the 70 men arrested, and actually it was 69 men and one woman, but whatever, 0 of them cooperated with authorities.
That's awesome.
Of 70,
That's amazing.
I like that.
which thwarted a case against the suspected ringleaders. Internal documents describe the proposed prosecution of the ringleaders as futile because of the group's collective silence, end quote.
Cornbread is thicker than water, y'all.
Mhm.
I got
Literally.
cornbread in these veins.
Still, this bust was a turning point in the DEA's conception of the drug market in America. Quote, before Cornbread, the DEA assumed that the vast majority of American pot was smuggled in from Latin America or Asia. Little did they know the most ideal conditions for growing cannabis was the Kentucky Bluegrass region, starting with Marion County.
Right here in their own backyard.
Made
their own
in
15th state.
America. This time, Johnny
By
Boone,
American.
I don't know, it's a gift.
It's a gift. I don't know.
This time, Johnny Boone spent more than 10 years in federal prison, so he copped a longer sentence. When he was released, he went right back to growing and smuggling
Well,
marijuana.
yeah, he's got to make up for last time.
This continued until 2008 when federal agents raided his farm in Springfield, Kentucky, and seized 2,400 marijuana plants.
Woof.
It was likely just the very tip of the iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
Realizing that he was now facing a possible life sentence without parole under the 3 strikes rule, Boone fled.
Thanks, Clinton.
Yeah. He was featured on an episode of America's Most Wanted,
More smartest, most wanted.
which may have had the opposite of its intended effect because he soon achieved national folk hero status.
Yeah, everyone's going to hide him now. We got to protect this man at all costs.
Save Pot Santa!
Save him, the cornbread king.
Yeah.
I would harbor that man.
I would harbor him with my life.
I would harbor him and his one weird nipple.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in. I'm all in.
I'm
I'm
all
both nips
in.
in.
I'm nipples deep.
A Facebook group
I'm jumping
called
in with both nipples.
Nippy Kaye, motherfucker.
Nice. Well done.
our 3 nipples combined, we'll take over the world.
So a Facebook group called Run Johnny Run was devoted to sending messages wishing him well in continuing to evade capture.
I want to join that.
I'm looking it up right
Look at it. Send me an invite.
Well, he managed to remain on the lam until 2016 when he was apprehended in Montreal at 73 years old. He had spent 8 years on the run.
Wow. You know he got a lot of help.
Yeah, from the Kentucky State Police and the U.S. Marshals Service.
Wow. Amazing.
Oh, no. Run, Johnny, Run is a band.
Oh.
I don't know if you can see the picture. I'll take a screenshot.
Are they from Kentucky?
Ooh, I don't know, but they typically reply within a few hours.
Oh, good. Send a DM.
Boston's hottest new band didn't just happen by chance. They've played together for some 30 years. Okay,
But
they're
then
an
how new
authentic
are
rock,
they?
rhythm, and blues band.
I don't like it. Okay.
Yeah, the hottest new band.
That's been around for 30 years. Something's not adding up. I don't think you know what new means.
There are some suggested
Or
edits.
hottest.
Or hottest.
So, in 2017, Boone pled guilty to a single count of conspiring to grow and distribute more than 1,000 marijuana plants.
Wow.
The Washington Post described his guilty plea as, quote, presumably the end of a drug career powered not by the stereotypical lusts for a flashy lifestyle or power, but simple economics. Indeed, Boone has been quoted as saying of his decision to grow marijuana, quote, we're from a poor place. I don't think anybody here is into any kind of thievery. I can only say that in our area, marijuana is one of the things that helps put bread on the table for people. And he really was not flashy. Like, he drove like a really old beat up truck.
Look at him. He's only got one nipple.
Yeah.
How
But that's
flashy
also-
can you be?
That's just how it is for a lot of, like, for example, communities of color who were ravaged by, like, I don't know, crack cocaine. You know, it's just what
Redlining.
it's just what a
White
lot of people
supremacy.
did. It's what a lot of their families did. It's just
Yeah.
how people operated in order to make a living.
Yeah.
And yes, I've been watching The Wire.
Yeah. yes. If you
So
couldn't
I know
tell.
all about it. Where the
Well, they
fuck
ta-
is Wallace?
They talk a lot about where is Wallace. Well, we know where Wallace is now, but
So in
Wallace.
2018, Boone was sentenced to 57 months in prison, despite the fact that a few years prior, Obama had commuted the sentences of 22 nonviolent drug offenders, including 3 Kentucky men who were part of the Cornbread Mafia. But he had been on the run for like 8 years, so they got him on other shit. In 2020, Boone was released to a halfway house in Louisville due to concerns that his age and health put him at an elevated risk of complications from COVID-19. So he's out. Since Congress passed the 2018 Farm Bill, growing hemp with less than 0.3% THC has been re-legalized at the federal level. So you can grow
Okay.
hemp. Once again, allowing farmers to grow it. And, quote, allowing Kentucky to regain its title as the home of the finest hemp on earth.
Yes.
wow.
The same farm bill also significantly eased restrictions on the production of CBD products, which we have promoted on this show, paving the way for some former Cornbread Mafia members to launch a successful and legal CBD business in Kentucky.
My, how the
Fantastic.
times have changed.
That's great.
Good
And
for them.
I know my case was long, but I have like one other story to like, 2 other stories to like tell you
Oh my
about.
God. Okay.
We're not going to get to my drunk time.
It's fine. It's funny. Okay. So the FBI or maybe the DEA at one point were trying to get undercover agents to like infiltrate Marion County, but they couldn't because it was such like a close-knit, tight community. So like any newcomer, people were like, who the fuck are you? So they set up a fake bar. They literally
Yes.
started a bar called Tomfooleries.
Oh,
And everybody working in the bar and like the fake owners of the bar were these agents undercover.
Oh my God.
I love it.
And so like a few months went by, whatever, they were like getting some information and then somehow their cover got blown and they still to this day don't know how. And they had to like abort the operation and shut down overnight and just like lost all of the costs of setting up this entire bar.
Amazing.
No.
And then also the like main hangout place was this place called Bickett's Pool Hall.
Bigot's Pool Hall.
Not Bigot, but Bickett.
Bicket. It's pretty close.
It's pretty
That
close.
close.
Yeah, do with that information what you will.
Yeah.
So they had this pool hall that they all hung out at. At one point, like this motorcycle gang called the Mongols came to town in the 80s and they tried to like take it over because they were like this like bad, like gnarly motorcycle gang, and they thought they could.
Because they're like, we're Bickets too.
Yeah, they thought they could do whatever they wanted,
Mhm.
and so the guys like let them like strut their stuff and like act all cool, whatever, at the pool hall, and then like some of the Cornbread Mafia guys like snuck out and fucked up their like huge massive trailer that they had all their bikes stored in and like fucked up like every motorcycle in this trailer truck. They like
Oh,
put
God.
a bunch of they just like fucked up all their motorcycles.
Uh-oh.
And then the gang came back and they were like, what, like, you know, tens of thousands of dollars of damage. And then they came back to the pool hall and they're like, who saw it? Who fucking did this? Whatever. And everybody was like, I didn't see shit.
Well, we know they
Oh,
don't snitch.
God.
And then they never came back. It's amazing. Like, there are so many good stories.
I like
in
this
book.
community.
I got a lot of information from the book The Cornbread Mafia by James Higdon. It's really interesting if anybody wants to check it out.
Love
There's
it.
so many fun stories.
I love it.
I love it. Well done.
Nice
Cute.
job.
Cute. Okay, are you ready for my case?
Maybe.
You're not. The fan pickers are out to get us and ruin our lives. This is dark as fuck.
Pick 'em dark.
Yeah.
They put me to shame.
They have the problem, not us. It's you. It's not me. This is like up there with one of the hardest cases I've researched, so thanks. I hate it.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
I want to start off by giving a huge shout out to the podcast Southern Fried True Crime, who I believe we've
Love.
met at CrimeCon a couple times.
I think so.
Erica.
Yes.
Very
and
nice.
the Murder podcast, which like murder, but like her murder, like murders
Murder.
of women.
Like her story.
Yeah, exactly. For their in-depth coverage of this case, which was like the foundation of a lot of my research today. So go check them out, and thank you for sharing your sources and your take on this truly tragic event. So let's get into it. Melissa Autry, who went by Katie, which I believe was her middle name, was a freshly enrolled 18-year-old freshman at Western Kentucky University, which is located in Bowling Green, Kentucky. She was super fucking smart and had done very well in high school and had big dreams to become a dental hygienist.
Smart.
So
Very
smart.
nice.
She was a small town kid ready to step out of Pellville, Kentucky and experience the big wide world. Her friends and family remember her as sharp as a tack and the funniest person they knew, and she lived to bring joy to others, which wasn't always easy considering the adversity that she faced as a child. Katie and her sister Lisa were foster children, and Katie didn't know her father. It's like not, they have the same mom. It was not 100% sure if they have the same dad. She knew or had met Lisa's dad, her sister's dad, and there was suspicion that he might have also been her dad, but she was never sure.
Little cloudy.
okay.
So they were definitely half sisters, possibly
Yep.
full.
Passively.
Okay.
Their biological mother struggled with her mental health, which took a turn after little sister Lisa was born. Their mother sought treatment for her mental health after a schizophrenia diagnosis and regained. Oh, and during that time, Katie and Lisa went and lived with one of their aunts. When their mother seemed to have regained control over her health, she took the girls back into her care, but this was sadly short-lived, and the girls went into the care of another aunt named Barbara after a few short months.
That is tough.
It is really tough, and it gets tougher. Existing strains on Barbara's marriage led to divorce while the girls were living there, and in the process of this split, both Katie and Lisa had to enter the foster care system and could no longer be cared for by members of the family.
Oh, God.
They went
Yeah.
together, though?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
So fortunately, the next sentence, the girls were able to stay together and were placed with Jim and Shirley Inman in this very same town so that their friend and school situations wouldn't be completely uprooted. But this new family had completely different parenting styles and values than any of the family they had lived with prior. Jim and Shirley were older. They were in their 60s, and Katie was only 10 and Lisa was 8. So that's like pretty old to have two younger kids come into your
there would
home.
already be like just a generational
Uh-huh.
divide.
Jim was a retired military man who ran a clean, strict, and religious home, which kept the girls from socializing much and forbade them from dating until as they were hitting puberty. So you can't hang out with boys.
Is this, what year is this in?
This would have been the late 90s, early 90s when they were little.
Okay.
But when the crime happens is like 2003.
Okay.
So she would have been around our age,
Okay.
like a couple of years older than us. So Katie channeled this into academic achievement and likely just to get some fucking social time, she enrolled in a fuck ton of academic and sport extracurriculars. Like she did everything imaginable at school.
That's good. She needed like an excuse to get out of the house, and that
Probably.
was allowed.
Yeah.
She was a
I
picture perfect
feel
high
that.
school student. Yeah. Yeah. She was doing like 10
she
times
dragged her
the
best friends
activities
into
any
it.
of us ever did. She was a picture perfect high school student, on the honor roll, head cheerleader, consistent winner of student of the month. Basically the exact opposite of me as a high
Okay,
school
I no
kid.
longer feel that.
In every possible way. Yeah. So Katie was a shoo-in when it came to admission to Western Kentucky University, and her academic achievement coupled with her foster status qualified her for full coverage of her tuition and housing.
That's good.
Yeah. So she moved into Poland Hall on campus and formed an incredibly close bond with her roommate, Danica. She maintained a relationship with both her foster parents and her biological mother, but neither relationship was very close. And so her friendships at school and her closeness with her sister were like the most important thing for her. On her own, for the first time, she leaned into the party life, and because of the fucking patriarchy, was, quote, slut-shamed for sleeping with boys at her school, and was called, quote, the hoe on the second flow, which is a charming combo of misogyny and racism. Love that. So, yay.
Yeah, that's nice.
Heaven forbid this young woman who has been shuffled around all of her childhood actually discover herself and her sexuality. Boo. So by her second semester, Katie had made the decision to explore her options a little bit more, though she can remain in the foster system as a student until the age of 21 in order to collect benefits for her tuition. Like, that's part of the foster care system for
That's
older
not that
foster
late.
kids.
I mean, didn't we all
I was 16.
We were
I would've-
21 when we graduated
College.
college.
Right.
So,
So
like-
that doesn't give a lot of wiggle room.
No.
It doesn't, but that's kind of the point, is that like you
Right.
can extend it so that the benefits, quote unquote, that are set aside for foster
But
children.
you can't like go part-time and graduate in 6 years.
Nope.
You have to go and graduate in 4 years.
You have to do full time.
Apparently.
Yeah,
It might
and
be different state to state, though.
Right.
It might be,
I don't
but
know.
who knows? But she wanted to leave the foster system, and go to school part time, which meant her tuition was no longer covered. So she got a job at a smoothie shop and started saving up to get her own car. And the smoothie shop was surprisingly not bringing her car buying money. So she got another job as a dancer at a local club called Tattletales,
Uh-oh.
which the Cornbread Mafia were not.
Yeah.
True.
exactly.
And
No shade, but
No
I just,
shade.
I just want her to be safe.
Well, she's not.
Okay.
But it's not because of Tattletales.
Okay.
She enjoyed working there and was saving up enough money to get a car and eventually move into an off-campus apartment and out of student housing. So while she was at WKY, Katie met a couple boys from Bowling Green that she'd seen around town, but they weren't students at her school, and she like barely knew them. I don't think she even knew one of them at all. So they were Luke Goodrum, who was 21, and Steven Soules, who was 20. It might also be Souls, but I'm not sure. Steven and Luke were not very close friends, but they knew a lot of the same people and they like had the same weed guy. So they ended up at the same parties all the time. And on the night of May 3rd, 2003, the boys were invited to a frat party on the WKU campus because they had a bunch of friends who went to the school. So they would like go to parties on campus all the time.
Like you did.
Yep, exactly. Katie and Danica had also been invited to this party, and Danica recalls that Katie had been pre-gaming pretty heavily beforehand, which irritated Danica, who would take on the role of babysitter when Katie drank too much.
Like you did.
Yeah, well, we've all done that for each other at some
We've all
point.
been there. So Danica and Katie are
They're roommates.
still roommates in
Yep.
the off-campus housing?
No, so Katie wants to move out of campus housing and into her own apartment.
Living on
but
campus.
she's still living on campus and saving up money while she works at Tattletales.
Got it.
So Katie had tried to dance with a boy that she had a crush on at the party, but he turned her down, and she made a bit of a scene about it on the dance floor, which sounds exactly like me.
Yeah.
She was eventually asked to leave the party because of her behavior, and one of the frat pledges, so like he's not in the frat, but he's like doing all their bitch work to get into the frat, had been tasked with the sober driving for everybody that evening, which is, I mean, if you're gonna if you're gonna do like pledge bullying, that's a good one. I like that one.
That is the one that we took advantage of for the people that we knew in frats. The only thing that I took advantage of was the pledges doing sober cab.
The good hazing.
That's good hazing right there.
Nobody gets hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Ideally.
nobody.
Well, we'll get to it.
Well, no.
From that, yeah.
Hypothetically, theoretically, nobody gets
Yeah,
hurt.
if all goes well, nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
So Luke Goodrum remembered seeing this scene play out at the party, but said he never interacted with Katie. Steven Souls had been so drunk before they even got there. Like Luke drove to the party. Steven was riding with him and was hammered. Apparently he like puked in the car on the way there. And they got there, and Steven had just like passed out in the car. So Luke was like, "Fuck this! I'm going into the party. You just sleep it off."
Oh, that's gonna be a fun party. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, ew. When Steven awoke, he tried to get a ride home from another friend. Like he called a buddy, and that buddy was like, "Fuck you! I'm not coming to pick you up." So Steven also found himself escorted by the sober frat pledge who had been tasked with driving Katie back to her dorm. So now this kid has both of them in his car.
That's a poor kid.
I know. The pledge testified that he watched Katie walk into her dorm building alone that night. Danica called to check on her a few hours later around 2:30 a.m. and had a conversation with her on the phone where it kind of sounded like Katie was like face down, like talking into her pillow, like muffled, which isn't alarming for a drunk person to do.
That makes me scared. Yeah.
So Danica remembers hearing a door close in the background of the phone call. Then Katie told Danica that she was scared because someone had just walked into her room and she didn't know who it was. Danica asked Katie to hand the guy the phone, which she did. Danica sounds like a really fucking good friend, by the way.
Yeah.
Yep. Get a friend like Danica. And the man on the line claimed that he was the person who had driven her home and he'd come in to check on her and make sure she was okay.
Okay.
Danica instructed him.
But also get out.
Yeah. Danica instructed him to leave her in the recovery position, so like on your side with your head propped up by a pillow in case you throw up.
Don't choke on your own vomit.
Danica!
Exactly. I know. I love her. And then told him to leave, like get out of the dorm.
Yeah.
And then she claimed
That's
she
when
heard
you're
another.
like, I'm going to be there in 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm down the street. Bye.
Then she claims to have heard another male voice in the background of the call, but this could never be corroborated. And like, she's also calling like from this party, so who knows? But Katie took the phone back and said that she's fine. She just wants to go to bed. And none of this sat right with Danica, who called another friend in the same dorm to go check on her, but that friend didn't answer because it's like 2:30 in the morning at this point.
Oh,
so Danica's like doing everything she can to make sure her drunk friend is okay. An hour and a half later, at about 4:08 a.m., the fire alarm in Katie's dorm went off. This was pretty common, especially with young drunk college idiots in the dorm, and like, let's be honest, a whole lot of pot smoking. So the co-eds didn't think too much of it as they made their way out to the front walkway. But they knew that shit was serious when firefighters arrived and they saw Katie being wheeled out of the dorm on a gurney with an oxygen mask affixed to her face. Her face, chest, and arms were horrifically burned.
Oh, shit.
Katie was so burned, in fact, that the first responders couldn't get an IV started on her way to the hospital.
Oh my God.
You guys, it's so bad. So just like trigger warning on all of this next part.
I was not anticipating burns.
No.
It's really fucking awful. Doctors would discover burns covering over 40% of her body. Doctors also discovered a t-shirt tied around Katie's neck, blunt force trauma to her head, a black eye, and puncture wounds on her body. The burns were only on the front of her, none on her back, none below the knee. This part's really fucking bad. Her genitals had been burned to the point where a catheter couldn't even be placed because, like, her urethra was like burned,
Melted.
Yeah, like off.
Oh,
So she wasn't like caught in a fire. She was
Nope.
tortured.
burnt.
Yep, she was. The burn patterns and additional traumas, like on her body, indicated that these injuries were not the result of an accidental fire and had to have been intentionally set directly on her.
That
Jesus
oh
Christ.
my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So
my
knowing
God.
these injuries were out of their depth, she was airlifted to Vanderbilt Hospital, which was better equipped to treat her. She was alive at this point. And photos for evidence were taken before the transfer because the doctors and police that were there, the doctors were like, there's no fucking way that this was an accident. Like, something's not right.
Oh my fucking God. People are so awful.
Horrifying.
Ugh.
So when she arrived at Vanderbilt, she was barely alive. She survived for 3 days, which was just long enough for her biological and foster family to come say goodbye. And she passed away on May 7th, 2003, and her death was ruled a homicide.
What the fuck?
Fan picker, I'm looking at you.
Jesus Christ, y'all. You do
I
not
know.
have to pick
The worst
The
shit in the fucking
these
world.
impossibly dark cases.
It's really
Jesus.
sad. So her autopsy discovered that she had been raped before she was set on fire, and that hand sanitizer had been squeezed into her vagina and rubbed on like the doorknob of her dorm, clearly in an attempt to destroy DNA evidence.
So this is
Slash,
like
that was the accelerant?
No, we'll get to the accelerant.
so it's just like a really fucking sadistic ass predator.
Mm-hmm.
Who really wanted to cover it up.
Mm-hmm. And did a terrible job, and we'll get to it. Her attacker used hairspray as a fire accelerant on her skin, so sprayed hairspray like all over her and then lit it on fire.
God.
Yep.
Ooh.
So police begin tracking down everyone who had been in contact with her that night and try to find Stephen Soules, who would have been like one of the last people to see her alive. They contact him by phone at his grandmother's house because that's like where he lives most of the time. That's his listed address. And he immediately lies to police and assumes the identity of his cousin over the phone, claiming that Stephen was in Louisville and had been there for several days.
Mm-hmm.
The sober driver, whose name was Ryan, also wasn't completely honest with police at first, omitting that Stephen was also in the car when he drove her back to the dorm and that he'd followed her into the dorm. He'd always said that she went home alone.
Oh my God. He
Steven-
let this happen.
Pretty much.
Pledge was covering for Steven.
Mm-hmm.
The pledge didn't follow her into the dorm.
Nope.
It was Steven the whole time.
Stephen the whole time.
It wasn't the guy who drove her home.
Nope. And Stephen's name didn't even come up at all until police specifically asked Ryan about Stephen because he was already a person of interest. Turns out, like what Ryan had told everybody, he hadn't left with Stephen in the car, but allowed him to get out and follow Katie into her dorm room. Why are men?
Ryan.
And I think that it seems like Ryan, and there's not like a ton of info on this, but Ryan and Stephen knew each other and were like,
yeah, fucking
maybe
must
not
have.
close friends, but friendly enough that Ryan was probably covering for him or just not trying not to mention
friendly
it.
enough to be like, whatever. My friend is gonna date rape this chick, and I'll lie for him.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not
fucking
knowing that it would be as horrific as it was, but
Doesn't
still
matter.
fucking knowing enough to lie about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to blame Ryan as much as we're blaming fucking
Well,
Steven.
no, but
No,
Ryan's
but
complicit in what happened here.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
like, sorry.
He knew if he saw this extremely drunk girl go into her dorm and then this guy follow her, and he knew enough to lie about the following of her.
Oh, and
then he
apparently,
fucking knew something was up.
Oh, and apparently Steven made some comment about like wanting to holler at her, quote unquote. After she got out of the car. So like he expressed his interest in this girl.
This is the perfect glaring example of yes, all men.
Mm-hmm.
And rape culture.
Yes,
Right.
all men.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Even if there are any men listening, which we know statistically there are like
We
three.
lost
talking to
most
both
of you
of
a
you.
while ago, but yeah,
Yeah,
we're talking to both of you. Listen
straight
up,
men who are listening to this
Bill
podcast.
and Zach.
Zach doesn't listen.
I know.
No, Corey doesn't fucking listen.
I think Bill stopped when we moved in together, which is fair.
He's like, I hear enough of you.
If you can sleep at night because you're like, well, I've never raped anyone, but this is it.
Mhm.
This is how it happens. This
Yeah, if
is
you're not
how
stop-
it perpetuates.
You were the fucking driver.
yeah.
Grab your dumbass friend and leave. Done. That's
Don't
it.
let him prey on a drunk woman.
Mm-mm.
Make
It's
sure
not
she
cute.
gets into her room safe, and then make sure she sleeps safe.
Alone.
Yeah.
So, anyway, all the while, Steven, whose little Louisville lie was sniffed out immediately, maintained that he had never been in a car or a dorm with Katie. But Steven's own father ratted him out to police when Steven let it slip that he'd, quote, had sex with Katie that night and that he was scared the cops would think he killed her.
Good. I'm glad his fucking dad was like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Don't fucking protect your kids when it comes to this kind of shit. There needs to be accountability and
Hear
justice.
that, laundry family?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So his story to the police changes once again, this time claiming he had consensual sex with her, but left her dorm around 3 a.m. He also admitted to being the one who spoke to Danica during the check-in call. He claimed that someone else was calling while he was in the room with her and that he didn't hurt her, but maybe whoever was trying to call did. Weak. Then his prints were found on the bottle of hairspray in Katie's dorm room, and his story changes once again. This time, he claimed he was in her room, they were having sex, and someone knocked on the door. Katie got up to open the door, and Luke Goodrum walked in and allegedly asked if he could also have sex with her. Katie said no. Luke flew off the handle and attacked Katie. Steven left the room, and when he came back... Yeah, when he came back, Luke was sexually assaulting her. Luke threatened Steven if he said anything about this and sprayed Katie with the hairspray. At that point, Steven claims he left and doesn't know what happened next. Both Steven and Luke were then court-ordered to submit DNA for testing, and Luke maintained that he only saw Katie drunk at the frat party. Detectives eluded that they had DNA or fingerprint evidence of Luke's at the scene, like during questioning, which is a pretty common tactic.
What they were
of
lying
police,
to try
but
to see if
they were lying, and he never changed his story, but like
because he was not there.
because he was not there. But I guess there was like enough circumstantial evidence that he was arrested alongside Steven, and they were both charged with capital murder. At trial, prosecutors made it clear that they were seeking the death penalty. They were both charged with rape, sodomy, arson, and murder. DNA results run through the lab only brought back Steven's DNA, but Luke remained in prison awaiting trial, even though there was no physical evidence to put him at the scene.
So it was only Steven's word that Luke was there.
Yep. And apparently
fucked.
some like jailhouse informants that it was like never even, I don't know, submitted in court because they were like known to be not credible.
Shit.
So there were like some folks that were at the same jail as like Luke and Steven that were like, oh yeah, Luke said he did it. Blah.
Here's another reason. If it's not reason enough to not be friends with creepy asshole dudes because they prey on women, don't be friends with creepy asshole dudes because
they'll
they'll
take you down with
implicate
them.
you.
Yeah. Protect yourself,
Yeah.
creepy asshole dudes. So Steven was offered a plea bargain to remove the death penalty off the table if he testified against Luke.
That's
And-
fucked up.
Yep, this is a desperate move by the prosecution who had less and less evidence that Luke was even there. And Steven, of course, doesn't want to fucking die. So he's
He'll
like,
implicate anybody.
yep, I'll do it.
Fucking Big Bird was there.
Yeah.
God, this
So
is fucked
Steven,
up.
oh, it's so fucked up. Our justice system is garbage. So Stephen pled guilty to murder and will be in jail for the rest of his life without the possibility of parole. So, like, he's locked up. That's done.
Good.
And Stephen stated at his sentencing, "It was not my fault, and I'm sorry. I know my sorries can't bring her back. She won't ever have to go through nothing like that again.
She had
But
to go
it
through
wasn't my
once.
fault." Yeah.
You fucking psychopath.
I know.
You sprayed her with hairspray and lit her on
Lit her on
fire
fire.
after raping her.
But it wasn't his fault, and he's sorry.
It's
Okay.
the hand sanitizer thing really fucked me up when I read that. I was like, holy shit. That's
It's so
terrifying.
fucking sadistic and
I know.
horrible.
All of it fucked me
It's
up,
so
especially
sad.
the hairspray part, because when I lived in a dorm with my friends, including Smellin, she's probably listening.
And Blanche.
We had all that big sexy hair with the
Oh,
fat
yeah.
red bottles.
Yeah.
So much hairspray.
Like my dorm room and that specific hairspray are
Tinderbox.
inextricably linked in my memory.
Yeah. Totally.
So Luke remained in jail for 2 years pending trial. And he never changed his story and always maintained his innocence, and without a single shred of physical evidence or witnesses other than Stephen placing him at the scene, Luke was acquitted of the charges in 2005. So it's
Jesus.
Stephen who fucking did it. That's that. Although, it's tough because
Ryan should have copped some fucking charges
I
for
know.
interfering
No
with an
shit.
investigation.
I know. I mean,
if anyone
it's
sat
very
for prison for 2 years, it should have been him.
It should have been him. It's very possible that he did receive some kind of like fine or some shit for that, but certainly not enough consequences for his hand in all of this.
Hate it.
And
hate it.
Katie's
hate it.
family, it's really complicated because like they're having a hard time believing that it wasn't both of these men. So they kind of think that Luke should also be in jail, which he shouldn't. There's no reason for him to fucking be in jail. He was not involved. And I think that it's just a lot of like grief and pain and misplaced anger. And they were like mad at Danica for like not going home with Katie and like blamed Danica. And it's like Danica fucking did everything right.
She did a lot, and we'd have even less if she hadn't done.
Yeah, this is not Danica's fault.
checking
It's
in.
traumatic for her too. She lost her best friend. And like if we were all drunk at a party, and we've done this before where it's
Yeah.
like one person's like, I gotta go, I'm tapped out. And you make sure they get in the cab and you text me when you get home.
And you make
then-
sure it's a sober driver.
Right. Like you get in the Uber, you text me when you get home. I'm gonna stay out for a while. I'll see you when I
You
when I
check
get
in
back.
when they get home.
Yeah.
They're coherent enough to answer the
exactly.
phone.
Like Danica
And she
is
said,
not
put her in the recovery position.
I know. Danica
Like,
did a whole fucking lot to make sure that she was safe. So I hope that she's not taking that too much to heart, because it's not about her. It's about
It's not
grief.
Danica's fault that there's
not
this
Danica's
fucking
fault.
predator out there,
Nope.
and that rape culture exists, and that
Nope.
this Ryan guy let this predator follow
Yep.
her in and then covered for him.
Yeah, it's Steven and Ryan who are it's 100% Steven and like 50 to 60% Ryan's bullshit. And that's
poor
my
Katie.
case.
Poor Katie.
Thank you,
Jesus.
fan picker Olivia.
Olivia, why?
Well, that was
so-
horrific.
I love you, and that was horrific.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank-
your support. That
Thank
was
you,
awful.
Olivia, for your horrific suggestion.
Your horrific support.
And also thank you to your grad school BFF, Charlie Rand. May you
Mm-hmm.
never listen to any of Olivia's horrific suggestions.
She's full of bad ideas.
Take Olivia's suggestions with a grain of salt.
All right, we'll talk to you next week.
See
We
you
love
next week.
you.